But let's stick to the Buckeyes first, and let's get to these Tuesday and Wednesday camps. And Kevin, what stood out to you in regards to who was on the field and how they performed?
Yeah, there were a lot of guys there between the two camps, so it's all going to kind of run together. Going back to the Tuesday camp, the international tour, the PPI tour was in town. Rivals 100 defensive end Hero Kanu, who's originally from Germany but playing in California right now, played that shortened spring season. He was on campus. He liked it so much that he stayed a second day. A tight end who was part of that tour as well, Theodor Olstrom, I believe, at 2023 out of Sweden. He picked up an offer as well. There was another big offensive lineman, Lucas Simmons, who is also out of Sweden, about 6'9", good amount of weight on him. He's somebody to keep an eye on as well. We saw some running backs with I had to think about it for a second. Trayon Webb out of Jacksonville. He did his workout on Tuesday. Richard Young out of Lehigh Acres, which is the southwest corner of Florida on the Gulf side, did his workout on Wednesday. They certainly were impressive. You had defensive end Shamar Stewart, who's a 2022 top 50 type of kid. He was extremely impressive. Unfortunately, he got a little dinged up, pulled something, held him out of one-on-one competitions, but I think there was a big sigh of relief from the offensive lineman at the camp because he was going to be an issue. Keith Sampson, who is a defensive end as well, 23, out of New Bern, North Carolina. He looked very good. A lot of good quarterbacks there. They did offer a 2024 quarterback out of South Florida, same high school as Shamar Stewart, Adrian. I'm assuming it's Posse, but maybe he's French and it's like Posse or something like that. Posse. Basically a lot of good opportunities, smaller camps than what we're used to seeing. These aren't these 600, 700 kid mega camps, still trying to keep it small based on everything that's been kind of going on in the world. So good opportunity for these players to get ample amount of hands-on instruction.
Yeah, the European stuff was interesting to me. I wasn't there. I was back home basically as the news desk this week, but seeing the footage coming out of that the Theodor Mellon Ostrom, I'll just call him Thor. He's like 6'6", 250 pounds and running routes and looking listed as a wide receiver / tight end, but he's obviously a tight end all the way at that size. And Hero Kanu, he stays the night, stays in Columbus. The rest of the tour goes on without him, and then he's going to have to catch up. So that gives you any indication of how much he liked it at Ohio State, basically didn't want to leave. So that's always a good sign. The running backs, the 2023 running backs, Kevin, you mentioned, like if they're only going to take 1 and 22, if that's what they're going to do, it would be interesting to see, can they get both Webb and Young in the same class? And if they could, that might be the greatest trick Tony Alford has ever pulled, and not trick in a bad way, but to get 2 5-star running backs, I don't think it's going to happen, but they're sure going to try and see where that goes. There was just so much information coming in, and just so much going on over the last week with all of these camps and stuff. It felt good again to just have all of this, like, to be able to convey information and to see stuff taken in. And again, I wasn't there on land there, but just to have stuff flying around again, it kind of revitalizes you a little bit when it's been so long since we've been able to do this.
Got Ohio State football talk here for the next hour with Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop, Kevin Noon from Rivals Buckeye Grove. I would definitely encourage all of you to head on over to their sites to check out their work and everybody else on their staffs. And we will get to the college football playoff proposals that are out there right now as, again, the subcommittee released a report, basically an announcement just a few days ago that a report would be coming out soon about what the recommendation would be out of something like an original 63 proposals. I would love to have seen what some of those proposals might have been.
I'd like to see what all of them were. Like, let's just see all of the different ideas and see some of the terrible ideas and what do they look like, and see what smart people can come up with some really stupid stuff. I think that's always fun.
Terrible ideas like the original idea,
Well,
like the inception of it.
well, just if there's 63 different versions, there have to be some really bad ones. And there's
like
probably
a 17 playoff, maybe.
Yes, 46 teams, and somebody throws in an odd number in there as well, or 128 teams. Lane Kiffin proposal probably. It would be interesting to read through all of that. It might take a while, but hey, you know what? On the Ohio State beat, we just got handed 5,000 pages of stuff just a couple of weeks ago. I can handle a couple hundred pages of nonsense.
I'm sure one of them was probably just give it to Bama.
And that didn't even come from Nick Saban. That was just from a Tennessee fan.
Right, exactly.
Automatic bids, Power 5, Alabama. Plus
Exactly.
Alabama.
Yes, as the analogy I use in a lot of stuff is Alabama is like the RSTLNE of the Wheel of Fortune. That's just automatic, and then you choose the others around it.
All right, back on the recruiting trail here. So we wrapped up the first weekend in June with that group of recruits. You guys did a nice job, obviously, of breaking that down for us and what we were expecting on that June 4th weekend. We're coming up on June 11th tomorrow. Kevin, I'll put you on the spot with a big rundown of who's coming in. I don't want I know the list is like 40, but in regards to who stands out to you.
Yeah, just keeps talking while I'm pulling it up there because we didn't prepare for this. And
I can always fill Kevin with join me on Patreon. It's only 17 cents per day. I got those fillers lined up. They're always right here, ready to go. We got the voiceofcollegefootball.com. You got to get there. Of course, we're going to be bringing out hopefully a college football fantasy league this summer, and of course, you leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics for Kevin, Tony, and myself there in the live chat, and we will get to it. And, of course, the Super Chat's on. But in addition to that, understand the filtering process on YouTube. So if you want to contribute to this show, hit me up on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, MarkRogersTV. Put Ohio State in your message, and we appreciate the contribution.
Okay, now I'm ready. I've got the list in front of me. You're going to have one commit coming in with Ryan Turner, the cornerback out of Florida. It's going to be an interesting mix because some of these kids are ones that maybe we're not hearing as much talk about. Offensive tackle Addison Nichols is one that really interests me. He is a four-star out of Norcross, Georgia. We know that Atlanta has been a good area for the Buckeyes through the years. I'll be interested to see what happens there. Jalen Early, who's another offensive tackle, he's out of Duncanville, I believe. He just released a top 6. He'll be taking his official visit to Ohio State. He has one scheduled for Florida State here in a couple weeks. You've got Curtis Neal, who's a big defensive tackle out of Cornelius, North Carolina, which is Charlotte. That's the same school that produced Evan Pryor. But you have to wonder what's happening there as things may be looking better with like Hero Canoe, and then they go out and they offer the kid out of Indiana as well. But Curtis Neal is more of a one tech, and Ohio State has not had a lot of those huge line clogging type of defensive tackles. They've had a lot more 3 techniques out there. You've got cornerback Austin Jordan, who's out of Texas as well. I think he stays in the Southwest, to be honest. You've got offensive tackle Joe Brunner, who is a Wisconsin guy. I think he stays there. Wilfredo Ibar is a guy that I'm not sure if he exists. I've never spoken to him before. I've never seen him before. He is a weak side defensive end out of Connecticut, out of Cheshire Academy. He'll be interesting to see what comes out of that one. Ephesians Prysock, and I think and running back Gavin Sawchuk. I'll be interested to see if that visit actually takes place because I like Ohio State's chances with Dallin Hayden.
Yeah, for me, this isn't the biggest weekend because I don't know that there are the chances that many of these guys end up at Ohio State. I think what I'm interested to see if there's somebody like Hero Canoe who kind of sees it and falls in love, and now just Ohio State shoots up their board when maybe they weren't there to begin with. So I think that's, for me, maybe what I'll be watching for, somebody just to fall in love. and then now Ohio State is more in the picture. Because Kevin mentioned Gavin Sawchuk. It's like some of these guys, it seems like they're maybe falling away a little bit. I don't know if four-star receiver out of California, CJ Williams, is still in the picture right now this weekend. And looks like maybe they're leaning other ways right now with receivers if they're going to take another. And so I don't want to say it's like the island of misfit official visits, but there is some of that. I think the bigger weekend is coming down like next weekend, when you've got JTT coming in, and then the weekend after that, other more bigger official visits to end the month. So this one is kind of, maybe it's a little bit of a break for the coaches, even though they're not going to see it like that. I think maybe there's less pressure this weekend than there has been since June started for them.
More bigger. So basically, we encourage you to check out Tony's writing, but it's about the information, not necessarily the grammatical quality there.
As long as they can read it good.
That's right. Talking Buckeyes here, Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop, and Kevin Noon from Buckeye Grove. We'll take your comments, your questions, your debate topics, of course, in the live chat. All right. So rare is it that a recruit comes out and says, I had a bad visit. It just, wasn't my thing. It didn't feel good. It's usually a positive. But I did hear actually one out of LSU this week. But other than that, yeah, you rarely hear that. So off of what you can read between the lines, were there any overwhelmingly positives, or maybe where you could read between the lines some negatives from what came out of feedback from last weekend's visits?
No, I think it's pretty much everybody had a great visit. I mean, I guess, Toriano Pride, the cornerback, nobody ever really felt he was going to end up at Ohio State, and I don't think that it was a situation of where Ohio State was able to completely make up the kind of ground there. But granted, I think picking up Ryan Turner kind of made Toriano Pride. It was going to be an either-or situation, and Ryan Turner always seemed to kind of be the guy. You sit there and you look at a guy like, Zach Rice. They certainly helped themselves, the offensive tackle out of Virginia. Everything was very positive there. Xavier Nwankpa. Ohio State has, quote unquote, set the bar very high there. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to catch up with that one. I think probably the biggest one I can say is Zion Branch, the safety out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. I think that if you look there, a lot of future casts on the rival side and Crystal Balls and that other network came in for Zion Branch. I know he recently went and take a little quick trip over to USC to check things out, but I think that's one that they certainly were able to make it happen, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of announcement in the near term.
Especially with the offer to his younger brother, Zachariah, a wide receiver who ran a 10.33 this spring, so it's a good family to get involved with. I go back to bad visits when Terrell Pryor talked about his Penn State visit and said it's too country, which I don't know if that's truth. Is there, sometimes maybe truth can be the harshest critic, and maybe that would be a bad visit. But just seeing what the players were saying, if this is your first time out, you'd think that you'd just be having a lot of fun and there wouldn't be much to complain about, honestly, finally getting to do these recruiting visits.